What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day so far. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the upcoming Fusion champion, which is behind me right now, Mavara, the Web Diviner. Let's take a quick read at what Plarium has to say about this champion, and then we'll take a closer look at her kit and analyze that further. So first off, a bit of commentary here from Plarium. Hey folks, we're planning to launch a mixed fusion event for a new champion, Mavara the Web Diviner. So keep this in mind, guys. It's a mixed fusion, which means you're going to probably have to get the fragments for the epics and then level up those epics and then fuse those epics into Mavara. This is also what we would call a hybrid style fusion, which is important because this will also give you a token towards the fusion token exchange system that we currently have in place. We recently just had the Pelops fusion, which did give us 1 token. So if you complete Mavara, then you would have 2 tokens. All right, so just keep that in mind. She is a Dark Elf legendary magic support champion. She looks awesome. She looks exactly like that World of Warcraft new expansion character that just recently came out. No ripoff at all. But hey, she looks amazing in her raid aesthetic. Mavara, the Web Diviner, is a versatile PvP support champion suitable for both fast and go second arena teams. She is especially effective against buff-heavy opponents as she can boost your team's turn meter by 20% at the start of the battle and provide consistent healing when paired with another support buffer. She protects her allies with HP equalization, a full team perfect veil, and a single target revive while also keeping herself safe with an unkillable buff. It sounds about a quarter of what Theodosa can do, but hey, that's still pretty good. So let's check out her kit and talk about that a little bit more. All right, guys, so here is her full kit. Again, the aesthetics on her look amazing. Strike on my mark. That's the A1 here. Attacks one enemy, places a fervor buff for 2 turns on a random ally except this champion. If the randomly selected ally is already under a fervor buff, place it on another randomly selected ally. So fervor is a buff that currently I believe Hecaton has and the mythical relic has. It's a buff that gives the champion plus 10% damage and they take 10% less damage. So a pretty busted single buff. And yeah, not bad. It is randomly selected, so you can't really control that in any way. Now, there is a passive effect here on her A1. Allies under fervor buff have a 50% chance of joining the attacks of other allies under a fervor buff. This champion will not join in any attacks. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate. This skill will not activate on duplicate copies of this champion if this particular champion is dead. So it doesn't mention anything about fervor buff placed by this champion. So it could be any fervor buff from any source. So it could be from the relic, it could be from Hecaton. And obviously this is more of a long-term kind of effect here. Since ideally you get the fervor buff on everybody and then they all attack and then you have 50% chance of ally attacking, etc., etc. She gets 4 books in this A1 and it's for 20% damage. Honestly, for a support champion, books into damage is a complete farce, complete ripoff of a legendary book. So not looking good on the book section there for her A1. Let's check out her A2 here, Nexus of Silk. 5-turn cooldown, books down to 3 turns, places strengthen, increased resistance on your whole team. Also equalizes the HP levels of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. So if you have 1 champion at full HP, you can full heal your entire team, which is pretty nuts on a 3-turn cooldown here. Not crazy, I would say, but not bad, right? On a 3-turn cooldown, nowadays we're getting like full team cleanses with a big heal, with an additional buff. In this case, Mavara is giving you a strengthen, increased resistance, and potentially a big full heal. That's the best case scenario. Increased resistance, while good in some spots, is not consistently good because sometimes you can boost the resistance on a champion with low resistance and it still doesn't do anything, for example. But hey, it's not bad. It could be useful in some trial situations where you require increased accuracy, or sorry, increased resistance. And strengthen's always going to be very useful. Just protect your team. Let's check out our A3 here, the Web's Whisper. 5-turn cooldown, books down to 3 turns with 2 books. Now the booking on the A2 and the A3 seem very reasonable, only 2 books each. This is going to be a single target revive with 50% HP, 50% turn meter. That's pretty standard stuff. Places perfect veil on your whole team except for this champion, then places unkillable buff on this champion. These buff will be placed if no allies were revived. Now, this is very nice because you can actually use this as a 3-turn perfect veil unkillable, which gives some flexibilities, right? And it also gives you the single target revive if you need it. So I really like that. I think the Veil's gonna be good. You can use her in like Hydra, for example. There's not too many Veil champions that are good. So this one definitely fits the bill. And playing against Hydra in a longer fight, fervor buff definitely could be useful. Strengthen, increased resistance could be useful as well. So I think I kind of like her, playing longer fights against bosses, even though she's kind of advertised as a PvP champion. So far, the kit reads like she belongs somewhere else. Now, she does have a passive here. Let's check out her passive, Therendine Visions. For every 8 buffs the enemy team receives, increases the turn meter of all allies by 20%. Every 16 buffs this champion and their ally receives, heal all allies for 20% of their max HP. And then her aura, increased speed in arena battles by 28%. Now, this passive is actually pretty nice. It will work even if she's locked out, even if she's crowd controlled, whatever. 20% turn meter boost for your entire team. I mean, that's pretty nice. 8 buffs from the enemy team. That's 2 buffs per champion on a 4-man squad. That's going to happen quite a bit. So if they're on a buff heavy team, you're going to get a lot of turn meter out of this, which could be very, very nice. It might allow your teammates to cut in, for example. 20% turn meter is pretty significant. Now 16 buffs on your side to get 20% healing. Now that's going to be a little bit more difficult. It's 4 buffs on a 4-man team. If you're playing Hydra, this is going to happen way more often because you have a 6-man team. So that's why this passive makes her, abilities in Hydra even stronger. So she's passively going to be healing up your entire squad. It might just be like crazy amounts of healing because she already has crazy healing on her A2. And now you're going to get passively a ton of healing from her passive. And then, as I mentioned, the speed in arena aura here, a little bit of a waste. It would have been just nice just to have her with speed in all battles so that she can be more useful in other areas. But for me, I'm liking her in areas like Hydra. I'm not really seeing it for arena, for example. Like if you're just going to pick her just for this passive, just for 20% turn meter boost, you might as well just pick a turn meter booster like Arbiter, for example, right? But I guess if you're running, maybe if you have slower gear, for example, you can definitely slot her in, and then have her perhaps boost your turn meter booster with her passive 20% turn meter boost. And then perhaps you can cut in that way. Or you can build her, maybe she can be the fastest champion. She cuts in for 20% turn meter, and then she places the A3, Perfect Veil, on everybody with the unkillable on herself. And that's just going to protect your team, give your team time to set up, etc., etc. Now, what she is going to do afterwards, I'm not really sure, right? Because your team will have Perfect Veil on, but they don't have unkillable on, so they can totally die. If they don't die, then you might have a better shot because you can equalize your HP, for example. But what is she doing afterwards? Her A1 is going to cast Fervor. I mean, I don't see it, guys. As a PvP champion, not really feeling it. It would have been maybe a little bit more interesting if they made her A3 into a 4-turn cooldown and then just give the entire team unkillable. I mean, that would be a little bit too strong. I would say that would be a little bit too strong, but give everybody unkillable, for 1 turn or something, right? So that you can kind of cut in with her, perfect veil, unkillable on your whole team, so your team can actually survive a hit, and then come back in with maybe a big heal. Maybe the equalized heal would be interesting at that point. Then you can recover and then hopefully take control of the game. Like I could see that as maybe like a go second type scenario that could work. But the fact that her A3 doesn't protect your team outside Perfect Veil, it means like they can still die to like AoE nukes. So I'm not really seeing how this is going to enable more go second level teams. Now, I'll make a case here for her for Hydra. battles. For example, if you put her in a 9-piece protection set, she's going to be landing fervor buffs constantly. So that's going to be 5% extra damage as well if you have a 9-piece protection set. She has strengthen, increased resistance. So that's 10% additional damage there from the protection set. And then she's going to give you guys perfect veil as well. So another 5%. So she potentially can give 20% additional damage from a 9-piece protection set. Now, I don't think she's going to offer the team much else, like a bit of healing, a bit of protection from the head of torment, and potentially some damage from the fervor buff. But that's about it. Like, she's not going to contribute damage herself. Against bosses, you're probably not going to see too many buffs occur. So you're not going to get this 20% turn meter boost too often. But, you know, in Hydra, you're going to get a ton of these heals popping off. So she's going to be healing up your squad quite a bit because in Hydra, you have a 6-man team and it's very easy to land all the buffs on everybody. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking for her. Not really feeling it for Arena, but, you know, maybe if you have a really tanky team to begin with, she can support that tanky team with all her healing, her strengthen, her increased resistance, and all that. But I don't think she's going to be top tier or anything like that. Now, for faction wars, for hard faction wars, she could be interesting. She is in the Dark Elf faction, which do have, you know, several revivers already. So, for example, let's take a quick look at the Dark Elf faction and Dark Elf faction. So we recently just had a fusion for Noldula as well, and she is, you know, a solid support champion as well. She brings the team revive, right, instead of the single target revive. She does have a strip and the weaken as well with the enfeeble and the A1. Now, if you were to ask whether Noldula is better than Mavara, I'd be interesting to entertain that question because I think for Hydra, Mavera definitely has more potential, and Noldula maybe more potential in PvP. Obviously, with her combination with Solinar is obviously insane, but both of them, I mean, you know, they're going to be good in different spots. But just an example, right? They're revivers for this faction. That is not short on revivers already, right? So you have those two. You have Blind Seer, which is a void legendary. So if you have her, she's probably going to be a reviver on your squad. There's also a bunch of epic revivers as well, like Kaden, not full team revive, but 2-man revive here. We also have Rion, which is a, you know, brand, which is a guaranteed, not guaranteed, but it's a free champion from the normal Doom Tower stages. So you're gonna basically get her. And then you have Fang Cleric here as well, single target revive. I mean, they're not the best. They're not the best, but they're usable. So this faction is not really short on having revivers. Adding another reviver in Mavara, I mean, I'm just trying to think about where she's going to fit in here with her kit. I do like it. I think it has potential, especially the Veil part, which is very interesting, especially for Torment. It's going to give people options outside of Shamail, outside of Duchess, outside of those types of champions to deal with the head of Torment. Her passive could also be quite strong depending on the teammates that she has on her team as well. It's interesting. I think Noldula is probably more proactive, more offensively oriented, whereas Mavera more defensive, you know, more reactive. For example, getting the heals. You're not going to get value from healing unless you get hit first, for example, right? So I find their kits kind of interesting, contrast to each other. But so far, not super warm on Mavera. I think she's all right. I think she gives you guys some options in Hydra. Mavera is also going to be one of the harder fusion styles, being the hybrid style. So you do have to collect the fragments for the epics and then summon the epics, build up the epics, and then fuse the epics into Mavera. So, you know, it is what it is. Up to you guys whether you guys want to do it. Wait for the playtest, perhaps. But she seems to me like a pretty, you know, okay-ish kind of support champion. Nothing too exciting, but could help in faction wars and in Hydra. Anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video here. Mavara, the Web Diviner. It's going to be the upcoming fusion. She will be a hybrid style fusion, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about her. Will you guys be going for her? Do you guys think she's worth it? Let me know in the comments. Appreciate you guys watching until the end. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.